Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League predictions. Massive Premier League games coming this weekend. Make sure as ever to get your predictions down below. Do make sure to drop a like. We'll go for 505 likes, which is actually the biggest target we've ever set. So hit that like button and do make sure to subscribe as well. We're pushing towards 26,000 subscribers, so hit the red button down below. Let's get straight into it, Sophie. Man City versus Newcastle. I don't know. A few weeks ago, this could have been a more exciting game, but I feel like Newcastle have really gone. They've gone from being brilliant to quite bad. Really, their form is actually starting to look like a bottom 5 team. This is one where Newcastle might try and raise their game, but once again, I just think Man City are in that position now where they've got to keep winning to get that title wrapped up at the end of the season. I'm going to go Newcastle to score, but Man City to win 2-1.
Yeah, see, this is going to sound daft because I said I reckon Bournemouth will score against Man City, and they did, and I don't see Newcastle doing it. Their problems are with scoring goals, and if you're not going to score goals, you're not going to win games. So I see Man City winning this and it being a comfortable game. 3-0.
Wow, 3-0 to Man City. Right, well, we'll move straight on to the next one because it's Arsenal versus Bournemouth, and Arsenal need to win if Man City are going to win. And you fancy Arsenal here at home to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth, they got a goal against Man City.
They did.
Yes, they lost, but we'll mention that away win at Wolves once again the week before where they won 1-0 and not many people expected them to. So Bournemouth can pop up with a goal. They can sometimes pop up with a point or 3. I don't know if they're going to get anything at the Emirates. Arsenal have to win. I'm going to say Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 1.
Okay, I don't see them scoring that many. I feel like they need to kind of keep that momentum going, the confidence high. I don't see them scoring that many goals though. I think Bournemouth can be quite a tough team to break down. With Arsenal being at home, I'm heavily leaning towards them. I do think they'll get the win. I'm just going to say 1-0. To the Gunners.
Oh, 1-0. All right, okay. Next up, this is probably the hardest prediction. It's Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. 2 teams in the middle of the table that are literally impossible to put your finger on. Yeah. Aston Villa are the hardest team in the Premier League, I'd say, to predict. They are so hard to predict because they are a streaky team, and then when they're on a streak, you think, right, I'll follow that trend, but then they changed up the results again. Got to say, though, great result at Goodison Park. They won 2-0, and if they can put a few more results together, I think they'll overtake Chelsea and get into that top half. But they're up against Crystal Palace, who want to win and then try and overtake Aston Villa this season. Palace didn't win last time, but they got a 0-0 against Liverpool, and sometimes when you're on a bad run, you get a draw and you can build on that. And I'm actually going to go for a Crystal Palace win, 2-1, because I don't know what to expect. 2-1.
I'm going the other way. I think Villa are going to get another 3 points. I do see Palace scoring. I think at times they look quite good against Liverpool. However, again, Villa at times are a good team. They just don't have their day enough. But I do think they're going to follow up a win with another win. So 2-1. 2-1. Okay, right, we'll go down to Brighton, who take on West Ham. What a result for West Ham against Nottingham Forest. Honestly, fantastic result. Sophie, you backed Forest to win. I'm never doing that again.
West Ham, absolutely fantastic though. And it was 0-0 on the 70th minute. West Ham scored 4 in the space of about 15 minutes, which is absolutely frightening. Yeah. But Brighton won't be so leaky. So I think West Ham will get on the score sheet, but Brighton looking brilliant this season. I'm going to go Brighton to win 2-1.
Yeah, I see Brighton scoring a few goals here, which sounds harsh because I think West Ham, especially second half, played really well against Forest, and they just smelt blood and obviously got the 4 goals, which is very impressive. But they're coming up against an in-form Brighton team. Do I see them getting a win? No, I don't see them getting a point, but I do see them getting a goal. 3-1 to Brighton.
3-1 to Brighton. Okay, right, we'll move on to Stamford Bridge. This is a very big game. Chelsea versus Leeds United. And Chelsea will be glad to be facing a team further down the table, an opportunity to pick up points. But in the Premier League, nothing is a given. And Leeds United won their last game against Southampton. Leeds will definitely fancy their chances to get something here. Chelsea are in pretty poor form. They lost 2-0 to Spurs.
I got that right as well. I got the last 2 right.
You did. And that red card incident was a weird one.
Yeah,
I think Ziyech should have gone. I don't know how he was allowed to stay.
Well, yeah, they went back on that.
Yeah,
so.
and he hit him in the face right in front of the ref. Never mind. I'm going to go for an upset. If it is an upset, Leeds to win. I'm going to say Leeds have a bit more to play for, and 2-1.
Yeah, I think last 2 games, as I said, I backed Chelsea to lose. and that's going well for me, so I'm going to back them to lose again. I don't see them winning. I think Leeds have got a turn of form in them. I think as long as they play quite well and they start quite well, I see them getting 3 points here, but not a high scoring game. Leeds win 1-0.
Yeah, Leeds really need to build on that Southampton win. They don't want it to be a false start. Next up, we'll go to Wolves, who take on Tottenham Hotspur. Wolves are a tricky team to put your finger on again. They could do with another result or two to climb away from the bottom three. They're up against Spurs, who we've said have been improving. But it's at Wolves. I think at Spurs, I'd maybe fancy Spurs. I'm going to sit on the fence, though, and say 1-1.
I agree with what you're saying, with Wolves being really, really hard to predict. I find the same with Tottenham as well sometimes. I think that was a good win against Chelsea, especially kind of like in their history, they don't really win at home to Chelsea. So could they follow that up with another win? No, I'm going to say an upset. Wolves 2-1.
You're going Wolves 2-1?
Yeah, why not?
Wow. Yeah, big results there. We're both backing Wolves to get something. We'll move on to the next game, which is Southampton versus Leicester City. Southampton, they got a great result against Chelsea, but then they lost the crucial 6-pointer to Leeds. As weird as it sounds, a win at Leeds would have been better.
That would have been better for them.
Yeah, because it's the 6-pointer. Yeah. Up against Leicester, who had been on a good run. They've lost their last two in the Premier League, as I said, against Arsenal, Man United. Very tricky games. Southampton really need to win this, especially at home. Can they do it? They need to try and suck Leicester in, but Leicester have been improving. I'm going to go for a draw. Southampton need it, but I don't think Leicester are bad enough to lose here. 1-1.
No, I'm going to back the away team. I think Leicester, they need a win, and I think they're going to do it against a Southampton team that sometimes get a good result, but I don't know, I've just got a good feeling for Leicester this week, so Leicester win this 2-1.
2-1. Right, on to the City Ground. Nottingham Forest take on Everton. This is a big game if I ever saw one. Nottingham Forest really need to get something here, because if Everton win, then they're going to get sucked back into it. But Forest have that brilliant record at home recently, and they've got to keep it going. We've got to mention, though, that 4-0 defeat to West Ham. That is a real cause for concern. Yeah. If it's a one-off, if they win this Everton game, that West Ham game is forgotten, honestly. Even though they lost 4-0 and the goals all went in about 15 minutes, it'll be forgotten, because points are more important than goal difference. This is interesting. Everton have improved a little bit under Sean Dyche. They've won 2 and lost 2 at the time of recording this. We're recording this just before they take on Arsenal. Oh, I think Forest's home form is tipping it for me, even though they lost 4-0 at West Ham. I didn't back Forest to win at West Ham. Sophie did. But I'm actually going to back Forest here, and I think they will actually win this one, despite that terrible defeat. Nottingham Forest 1, Everton 0.
I think the Forest fans are going to hope I never back them again, because clearly that was a bad omen. I see this being a really frustrating game, and it ending a stalemate. 0-0 for me.
0-0.
Yeah.
Who's that a better result for?
Everton, it's got to be. I think Forest would want to win at home.
Maybe.
Not losing's not terrible. But yeah, I think Everton would set up for the point, and that's why I think it's going to be a frustrating game.
Maybe. Right, we'll move on. 2 games left. This is massive, Sophie. Liverpool versus Manchester United. God, over the years, this game has meant so much. I don't think it's going to decide any titles this season. Manchester United have to be absolutely fantastic. I think Manchester United have to win every game
flawless,
to win the Premier League now. But we've got to say they are in some brilliant form. Congratulations to them for winning the Carabao Cup and doing well in the Europa at the same time.
Yeah.
Liverpool 0-0 against Palace, and they come into this not quite clicking. It's a bit of a concerning time. I think this is the perfect time for Manchester United to come to Anfield. They're going to do it. 2-1 Man United.
Yeah, I think 3-1 Man United. At times Liverpool have looked very poor. On the flip side, Man United have looked very good at times going forward. So I see there being goals for both teams, but United will get the 3 points. 3-1.
3-1. The final game is a West London derby, and it's 2 teams that are just fantastic. Brentford versus Fulham. Honestly, brilliant. At the start of the season, these two, honestly, I think some people forget this, were tipped to be in a relegation fight. Fulham were tipped to go down, Brentford tipped to just about survive, and they're both miles away from that relegation battle, which is testament to their managers. I think their managers are brilliant. Thomas Frank is sensational. Marco Silva's doing a brilliant job with Fulham. They've got fantastic players at their disposal, and I am struggling to separate this one. I'm going to say an entertaining 2-2.
Yeah, I can't separate the two here. I'm going to sit on the fence as well. and say 1-1. I think both teams are performing very, very well this season, and I think a draw wouldn't be a terrible result. So, yeah, 1-1.
We're sitting on the fence, but a win for either wouldn't surprise me and would be absolutely massive, of course, but we're sitting on the fence. So then, guys, that wraps up our Premier League predictions. As I say, let's go for 505 likes. Do make sure to get your predictions down below in the comments. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're pushing towards 26,000. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.